Hi everyone. Welcome back to my channel. We'll be reviewing Married at First Sight season 12, episode 6. Um, this was quite a oh god explosive episode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to review it a bit differently from normal. I'm going to briefly review the couples, and then we'll spend most of our time reviewing the two incidents that happened today, that happened during the episode. So to start off with, I'll go through the couples, and then we'll eventually reflect on the two incidents, and I'll give my opinion on that because I think everybody's got a different opinion about that. So please feel free to comment. We're going to start off with Briana and Vincent. Briana and Vincent have been getting along all since they got married, and they're one of my favorite couples, if not my favorite couple. They show us in the first thing they're getting up out of bed. They go out for indoor skydiving, and while they're out and about, Vincent does mention that there was an incident after the cameras left, because he feels she's a bit bossy, and he's finding it, he doesn't like to be rushed. She then brings up her point. She then explains that they were trying to get ready and he was taking forever to get ready, and so that was concerning to her. So she was trying to sort of get him moving, and I think in that there might have been a misunderstanding. They're very vague, in my opinion, as to what happened. I think they would rather keep it, in house, whatever happened there. So they do give some detail, but I don't think they give a full account of exactly word for word what happened. They seem to have to have got over it, and have seem to have turned a new leaf. So hopefully, that's that, and hopefully they'll be more mindful of the incident. And Brianna sort of asked him that if he does feel there's any problems, just to let her know. And I think communication will be key for them. From there, we move on to um, Ryan and Clara. Ryan and Clara are getting along. Clara's very happy with Ryan. She feels that if she had made her own man, he would have turned up as Ryan. So they have their breakfast, and then from there they sort of, during breakfast, they have a conversation. They're still trying to get to know each other. Still trying to understand how they were matched, or why they were matched. So they have conversations about school and social media, and sort of Clara about dating history. And Clara brings up that she falls in love easily, and that's when Brian sort of mentions, which I think we've known for a while, that he has never told anyone he loves them, because to him he's always been taught it's a very important verb, and you shouldn't use it unless you mean it. And so, in that regard, when he does let Clara know, she is very upset, because she's now wondering whether it was a good match, in the sense that they matched someone who falls in love easily with a guy who's never told anyone that he loves them. So that is of concern to her. But in my opinion, we've had people on previous episodes whereby on previous seasons, whereby they've said that they've never told anyone they love them, but they've never really given a well thought out sort of reason. And I think Ryan's reason is well thought out. And I think if Clara sort of silences the part that is telling her that he's never told anyone he loves them, he's never told anyone he loves them, and sort of listens to what he's saying and the reason behind him not having used the words, I think it will be very important for when he does tell her, she will understand and she will appreciate that. And so I think Ryan and Clara are the other couple that I see having a future together and actually working out. So hopefully, if they can work on that, they will succeed. Next we move on to Haley and Jacob. Haley and Jacob are struggling. They've always been a bit off. I don't quite understand. Something doesn't seem right with them. I've always said they're an odd pairing, because Jacob is he's socially awkward, in my opinion, in the sense that he's one of those people who struggles to sort of strike up a conversation, or to sort of his interests are not in line with most people, so he sort of struggles to sort of find something to talk about, because the things that he talks about, some people might find them boring and not really be that interested in them. And so with Haley, I think because of that, she's just tuned him out. And it's it's sad because she mentions that they have been intimate, but instead of that bringing them closer, she's she she doesn't seem like she's applying herself as much as she should. I think even with his awkwardness, if she were to actually pay attention and she were to really try, they could have a successful relationship. But it seems he's putting in more effort than she is, and if they continue that way, I don't see them succeeding. So I hope at some point she will sort of take time out and just think about it. And if she's really wants this marriage to work, she'll work hard at it and they could succeed. But at the moment, I don't see them succeeding. Then we move on to um, Eric and Virginia. Eric and Virginia are getting along. They have been getting along since they got married. Eric seems very happy with his match. Virginia seems very happy with her match. They have um, they have been enjoying themselves since they're in Vegas. So they've been drinking a lot, I think. And this is something that Virginia has already mentioned that she likes to drink and party with her friends. They do have a conversation after Eric. I think he's beginning to sort of it's beginning to wear him down. He's beginning to struggle to sort of keep up, and he does mention that he loves his job, but he can't keep up with the drinking because he really loves his job and he really wants to continue doing what he loves, and he also wants Victoria to be a part of that. So he has a conversation with Victoria, and Victoria loves to party and loves to drink, and so she wants to do that as well. And I think they're going to have to compromise at some point, because if Eric's job takes him away and she likes to party, there's going to come a time where she is off and wants to go partying, and he is away at work, or she is at work and he is at home, and when she eventually is off, he's gone. So I think at some point they're going to have to compromise. At some point she might have to cut down a bit, or she might have to sort of make adjustments with her plans. When I saw her on Unfiltered, she seemed very sober and very relaxed. So I don't know. I think Eric and Virginia, with some work, they could actually work and actually be a successful couple, because they're one of the three couples that I see possibly making it this season. So if I were to say three couples that will make it, and I've already said this since episode one aired, I would say Eric and Virginia, Brian and Clara, and Brianna and Vincent have the highest possibility of having successful relationships. But they might just need to sort of compromise, or they might just need to communicate more and work just a little bit. And then hopefully they'll get the marriages that they wanted. So that's them. And then Paige and Chris. Oh, poor Paige. I really feel sorry for Paige. I know a lot of people are saying, why doesn't she leave? Why doesn't she leave? I saw an interview where Pastor Carl did I saw it on IG somewhere, I don't remember the tag. And he was saying that Paige had been offered the opportunity to leave. People were saying, oh, she can't leave because she'll be fined. But in my opinion, if you want to leave, I think it depends on the circumstances that they would fine you for leaving. Because Mindy was able to leave, and I don't remember seeing anything about her having to pay a fine for leaving. So I don't know. Paige still wants to try with this marriage because she believes in destiny, and she believes in her faith that there's a reason for everything. Um, Chris is not helping himself at all. He's not helping himself because every time she gives him an opportunity, he has to do something. He has to do something or say something that's just sort of like makes things worse. He doesn't seem to be applying himself or to be as apologetic as he should be, in my opinion. Given this lady entered this experiment with the hope of finding a life partner. He said he was that life partner, but since day one, he's told her friends that she's not the woman that he wants. He's told her, you're not the woman that I want, and yet he continues to be intimate with her. So to me, it doesn't make sense. Um, I don't know. It's really something, and I'm a bit surprised because when other couples in previous seasons have had issues, like Shanice and Jeffrey, when they had their issues on their honeymoon, they were able to speak to, even though it was a Skype call, I think, or something, they were able to speak to Pastor Carl. So I'm not sure why the producers this time they didn't feel the need to get an expert to speak to them as soon as Paige found out, or to get an expert to sort of speak to them when Chris was telling her. That way, at least, because I think she will need counseling, she will need support when she eventually leaves the show, but it's just a matter of them making sure that she has that, because this is a bit too much for anyone to handle. Anyway, so during the episode, two incidents happened. Please feel free to comment. Um, One is the where the husbands and the wives meet up. So there's a lunch, I think, a lunch date for the wives, and then a lunch date for the husbands, where they just catch up and have a chat. And everybody notes that Paige doesn't seem happy. Um, Whereas the guys, when they meet up, they're all chatting. They're very impressed. They're very happy with their partners. Um, as usual, Chris brings up the questions he shouldn't be bringing up. He asks about intimacy, and the guys are not keen to talk about it. Everybody else, Jacob just says he'll leave it up to Haley. Ryan just glosses over it. Vincent just glosses over it. They don't go into any detail. And then when it comes to Eric says they haven't been intimate, but if they wanted, they could at any time, because they are attracted to each other, but they're trying to take time out to get to know each other first. Then Eric is he's a bit, he's drunk a bit too much, I think. So he has a conversation with Chris, how are you and Paige, and how are things going? And then he tells him, I think he was trying to sort of encourage, to advise him that you really need to work hard to make sure this woman forgives you, because if you want her, you have to work hard and prove yourself. But instead of saying that, he was telling him you need to man up. And in telling him you need to man up, instead of Chris, I don't think Chris sort of understood exactly what Eric was saying, because as soon as he heard the words man up, he became defensive, and he was like, I am manning up, I am manning up. And it's not, I don't know. I can't speak for Eric because I don't know what he meant. But I think if only someone had asked exactly what they were after, what they meant, then there wouldn't have been that much of a misunderstanding. And I think that, plus the comments last week where Virginia asked about the paternity of the child, whether Chris was 100% sure that the baby was his. I think that has actually made Chris and Eric and Virginia Chris's targets, because when they go the following day, they go out on a dirt bike on a dirt bike ride, and so they sent three couples. I don't know why they sent the three couple, why they chose the three couples that the producers chose. Just because they chose Ryan and Clara, Eric and Virginia, and Paige and Chris. And Paige and Chris, they already know that Chris has a problem with Eric and Virginia. Anyway, while they're out and about, they take a break, and suddenly we see Virginia and Clara having a chat with Chris, which I don't understand why, whereas the husbands could have had that conversation alone without involving the wives. Anyway, the conversation starts off very civil, sort of like people are understanding and hearing each other. And then as the ladies are asking, why you need to work hard to prove yourself to her. You need to, and then Chris is sort of upset that I've shown that I want this marriage by telling her, and yet everybody knows that Chris only told Paige just because the producers were nagging him that you need to tell her that you've got someone pregnant, and so from then on it became a shouting match between Chris, Virginia, and Clara, and he was telling them, I need my privacy, and you it's a bit difficult to expect privacy on a reality show where you have producers asking the other participants to prompt you with questions, because they are producing a show. And so, because the experts are not there, obviously they can't be asking him the questions. So, they're going to send the other couples to go and ask him questions. So, it became very heated that Eric had to step in and sort of try to cool things down. And in trying to cool things down, Virginia sort of commented that she would never put up with what Paige is putting up with, and that set Chris off, because then he kicked off. Oh, you need to focus on your drinking, and you need to focus on your relationship. And I don't know. I think there's a problem. There's more to that than we saw. Anyway, they moved. they were and Eric was able to help separate Clara and Virginia away from Chris. They then went, the ladies went and they started talking to Paige because they were saying we were concerned about Paige. And just because she doesn't look the way, she's not the same Paige that we met, and she doesn't look like she's happy. And they'd actually brought this up to Chris that, what you're saying and what Paige is saying are not matching. And he, while they were talking to Paige and sort of trying to comfort her and telling her that, if you have any problems or if you need anything, just let us know. We're here for you and anytime. And that's when Chris came up and he started kicking off. You should not be talking to my wife, because if you're talking to my wife, you're talking to me, and you have no right involving yourself in my business. Because by doing that, so that's when Ryan, I think eventually Ryan had to take Clara to the side, and Eric had to try and sort of pacify his wife. And the next thing is they were leaving. And I don't understand why the producers allowed Chris to get on the bus with everybody else, because Chris actually said, I'm going to make the bus ride a nightmare. And so they should, in my opinion, have either separated them, whereas they put them in two different cars, or if they didn't have a second car, they should have put a security on the bus with the couples in case anything happened. Because Chris actually said that I'm going to make this bus ride a living hell, or they should have asked one of the couples to stay behind, taken the other couples back, and then come back for the other couple. But no, they put the six of them on the same bus, and obviously chaos ensued on the bus. And Chris was shouting, Virginia was shouting, because I think with Chris, he likes somebody who's like Paige, somebody who doesn't answer him, somebody who will just let him run his mouth or say or do whatever he wants without sort of contradicting whatever he's saying, or sort of being confrontational with him. And so I think because Virginia was answering him back, that sort of set him off even more, and he started screaming and shouting. We didn't actually see what happened after that, because the next thing we saw, the couples were back in their rooms, and then there was the supper incident. I really won't talk about the dog issue with Paige and Chris, because I just think it's something petty. Chris was asking, are we going to, who's going to be looking after your dog? I can't do dogs. And it's just a bit selfish, given that he's expecting her to be considerate of him and the fact that he's impregnated somebody, and yet he won't do anything to help her with her dog. But anyway, to each their own. So when they get to dinner, Paige apologizes to everybody about the incident that happened, and says she's really sorry. And from there, Chris then chimes in. I would like to apologize to everybody. He goes on this speech about Paige praying for him. He goes on about how his words should amount to something. He should be mindful of the words that he uses and stuff. And after that, he apologizes to Ryan. I don't think Chris was ever going to apologize to Eric and Virginia, because if he was, when he mentioned Ryan and Clara, he should have said, although they are not here, I'm also going to apologize to Virginia and Eric when they were, even though they are not here, and when they come, I will let them know. But he didn't. He only focused his apology on Ryan. And then once Eric and Virginia arrived, he then went off. Eric then started, they arrived late, and as usual, and then Virginia made a comment about a drink, which I don't think everybody took to very kindly. It wasn't the right situation for that joke, or that comment. So he then went on to, to explain to Chris that, Chris, next time, we're going to stay out of your business, but next time, please, if there's anything, talk to me, don't talk to my wife, which any husband would do in defense of their wife. And that way, as gentlemen, they'll talk to themselves amongst themselves, and then he can always go back and talk to his wife. But while Eric was about to say this, Ryan then interrupted, because he could see, I think he was concerned that things were going to go left. So he then explained to Eric that, well, before you arrived, Chris had apologized, and I don't want things to get heated, because I think you're both aiming for the same thing. And Eric seemed to accept that and was about to move on when Chris said, no, I need you to say whatever you're going to say. And so Eric then explained himself again. Please don't talk to my wife. If you need to talk to my wife, you need to come through me, because I won't accept you talking to my wife like that again. And Chris then just went off, well, how can you say that when they've been disrespectful? I don't think there was any need for that, unless somebody was fishing for a fight, which it seemed, as far as I'm concerned, someone was fishing for a fight, and this gave them the opportunity. Because then, when things started to get heated, Virginia just said, "We're leaving," which made sense that, given what had happened before, it was important for them to leave. Um, and Chris then stood up and sort of became, it's hard to understand what he thought he was doing, because even 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 Eric asked him, "What are you doing, dude?" Because he couldn't understand exactly why Chris was behaving in that manner. So Chris had to be pushed away by Vincent. And in, with that scenario, what it means to me is that Chris will pick on people that he's not afraid of. Because the way Vincent pushed him, if it was anybody else, Chris would have kicked off, because you sort of pushed him like bouncer style, where you're pushing somebody away from a situation. And he didn't say anything, and he started walking off. And Eric and Virginia then walked off to their own corner. And I really love Briana and Vincent, but I wish they hadn't had an opinion or formed an opinion of an incident that happened that they didn't witness. Because I bet no matter whatever, if if Chris had spoken to Brianna the same way, Vincent would have had an issue with that. He would have had an issue. I know some people were saying, "Oh, Brianna would have minded her own business," but initially, when Paige said, told Brianna that Chris had made somebody pregnant, Brianna made some comments. And I bet you, even if Chris heard them, he would never have said anything, because he doesn't want to upset Vincent, or he's concerned that, he doesn't want to upset Vincent, he's afraid of Vincent or whatever. So I think Chris picks on people that he knows he can deal with, and then leaves everything as it is. So everybody then separated. I love Jake. Jacob just sat there, was waiting for his dinner. He minded his own business and didn't even comment it once. Um, Ryan and Clara went to their room and decided to focus on the two of them, because they said, we're going to focus on our relationship and nothing to do with anybody else. Um, and so initially, while they were having lunch, while they were having their conversation about the alcohol and stuff, um, Eric had told Virginia that, after the fight on the bus, that, he doesn't want anything to do with Chris, and he's going to mind his own business. And if Virginia wants to be friends with them, he's not going to stop her, but she's within her rights to do as she pleases. So we then have everybody go to their room, and the following morning, everybody packs up to leave. Jacob is a bit upset that Haley told him she was going for a girls' night, only for him to come downstairs and find Haley with the other couples, which is really, I think it's not good on Haley's part, because now it puts all the other couples in an awkward position, because whatever issues she's having with Jacob, now Jacob will start to think everybody else is involved. So I don't think she should have done that. All the other couples pack up and get ready to leave. Chris and Paige are packing up. Chris, during the packing up, then the conversation, they're busy talking as they're packing. The conversation then gets again to his ex fiance, with discussions of how his ex fiance, well, what conversations he's been having. And it brings up the fact that, they've had a conversation about whether they or not they need to move in together. And it's just upsetting, because you don't understand his train of thought. Because he told Paige, "You're my number one priority. You're the most important person to me. Everybody else comes in second after you." So if she's first, why are you having conversation about moving in with someone and raising a child with them? And at that point, we see Paige walk off. And this, for me, is why I'm saying I hope when she does walk off, they are there is somebody there for her to talk to. She's got the show is providing her with a counselor or a therapist or someone to just help her process whatever she's going through, because I think she's really going through a lot, and I really feel sorry for her. And hopefully she gets the help she needs, because she will need help to sort of process everything that she's going through. Because I don't think Chris is being fair to her. I think he's being a bit more selfish, and he's not really being the supportive husband, and is not really making her feel loved or comfortable in any way. Anyway, those are my thoughts for this episode. Please feel free to comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you next time. Bye, guys.